President Obama, long-awaited speech on NSA reforms on Friday. I watched the entire speech. I must admit I was puzzled by exactly the difference to me between his rhetoric about the importance of intelligence and the necessity of balancing collecting intelligence with protecting our privacy and the actions that he announced. And I was pleased to see that Think Progress was on the job and said, okay, here's what he did and here's what he didn't do. Run us through it.
Well, this was something that didn't please anyone, which I think he kind of hit the sweet spot in some way. You have civil libertarians saying it's not going far enough. You have people who really support this program saying if you curtail this program, it's going to lead to greater, to some kind of security threat to the United States. So he did basically three major things. He said that for the NSA to tap into the database that they collect all of this metadata, you're going to need a court order. So no more system where only 3 people know and you have to have a supervisor sign off. A court order if you want to tap into the program. And you have to convince the court that this is related to an ongoing terror case. He also limited the inquiries into certain individuals. So if you're targeting person A, you can't go through you can't get to that person through someone who's more than 2 steps removed. So if you're going after,
it used to be
3. Yes. Yeah. Now it's 2 different hops. And then another big change, I don't know if this is the biggest, but a big change that a lot of people have been asking for is that when you're in this secret court, there's only the government side. There's no one advocating on behalf of privacy. And so he said that in certain cases, in certain significant and novel cases, is the term he used, there's going to be a privacy expert in front of the secret court making the case for privacy. The big unanswered question, and this is where a lot of the legislation that in front of Congress is now focusing on, is where will all of this data be housed? Because some people say maybe it should be the phone companies, although the phone companies don't really want to do it, if you ask them. Should it be the government? And that's where he said, we're going to let this Congress decide, and if Congress can come up with some kind of solution, I'll consider it.
So in other words, on that big question, he really punted.
And on the big question of
meaning where it
stored,
resides.
He punted. Yeah. But also the big question for a lot of the American technology companies is how this idea of providing information to the government hurts their brand. It hurts their business.
Yeah, they're not happy.
In the world, they're not happy at all, and that he didn't address at all. He's been talking to, leaders in this field for a long time. He's heard their concerns in California and elsewhere, but he didn't address that particular problem for American businesses.
And several civil libertarian organizations have pointed out that you mentioned, so there's going to be a panel of public advocates who will sort of rotate in and out of the FISA court, making the arguments in support of privacy at any rate. But it's still going to be a secret court.
Yes.
So we won't really know what arguments they make or how effective they are. And the judges in that secret court, in the FISA court, are all appointed by the Chief Justice of the United States and the President. His presidential panel recommended that he change that. He did not change that. So when I look at it, I sort of come to the same conclusion. And what troubles me about, I guess what I want to say is, James Clapper, former head of the NSA, General Clapper, came out and said that basically the president didn't make any changes at all, that it's basically the status quo. Well, if that's the case...
Yeah, and it's
missed opportunity.
It's a president whose rhetoric and whose action is far removed from candidate Obama, who, of course, when he was running, when this was a program under Bush, and now it has more safeguards than Bush, we should be clear, but someone who is far more concerned about the privacy aspects. Now that he's president, that balance between privacy and security seems to have shifted somewhat.
And of course, I also thought that he went out of his way to slam Edward Snowden again, even though we wouldn't even be having this discussion if it were not for Edward Snowden. We mentioned, I was looking for an article, the tech industry finds his NSA reforms insufficient. USA Today, Susan Page, our friend from USA, is reporting this morning that 45% of Americans say that Snowden's disclosures have helped the public, have helped us.
Certainly started a conversation.
43% oppose. And most Americans now disapprove of what NSA is doing. And 73% of Americans who watch the president's speech say it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah.
But so public attitude on this, now that we know what NSA is doing, is really shifting.
It really has. Snowden, I believe, is going to respond to these changes either this week or next. I remember either in some kind of address or in some kind of written statement. So we're going to hear from him. I don't think he's going to be satisfied, as a lot of the liberal civil rights groups aren't. But look, Obama is slowly being pushed in the direction of greater privacy. Will he do more? Maybe. I thought it was a good start that his panel that he chose provided all of these changes that a lot of people thought were good ideas. The question is, what can the public now do to kind of push him more in that direction?